Hi, I'm Tiffany from Wired PR News, talking today about SEO practices for 2015. There's been a push towards um, something called user-generated content and away from SEO and keyword focus. I'm sorry, in SEO in recent months due to Google's changes to their algorithm. We have here today a Dallas-based SEO expert, Kamar Zaman of Submit Press Release 123. He's here to give us more insight into what this means for companies moving forward for the new year. Hi, Kamar.
Hi, Tiffany. How are you today?
Good. I've given a brief background to introduce you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and your SEO experience?
Thank you, Tiffany. I've been an SEO for the last 20 years when most of people were still in their Pampers. And I come from a background of software development as a lead developer and a VP for Oracle. So I've seen SEO coming from when there was no SEO. There was just Google. Prior to that, there was Yahoo. And it was very easy to rank content. So I started my business in 2004. It's been 10 years, and I've been doing search engine optimization of digital assets. Uh, and I work with different brands. I've worked with banks. I've worked with BMW. I've worked with some international banks. Some of them are. I work with the Department of the Cayman Islands, Economics Department, the tourism. So I've done this for a while, and I've learned a lot of things based on the historical evidence of Google, how Google has come about. Are you there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, can you tell us what user-generated content is and why it's important for SEO today?
Well, first we need to understand what is SEO before we understand user-generated content. SEO is a search engine optimization of a web page, not a website. So if you want to be found on Google, you can position your website so people can find you. And that is the search engine optimization. Now, search engine optimization goes much deeper. To get a website to rank on the first page of Google, you have to follow certain guidelines. What you have to understand is that Google is an index. What that means is it's a comprehensive or complicated directory as you would have like a Rolodex. So you open this Rolodex and you put in a person that name has an A, you put person B, C, D, E. And that's a simple Rolodex. Now, in terms of Google, they have got billions of pages. So what they have done is they have created robots that go online. They come to your website and they crawl your website. So every time you create a page of content, you create a video on YouTube, you create whatever you're creating as a digital asset, they come online, and as long as you have given them permission to index your page, they would put that in their index to see if when people search, they can find your content. And if you do a good job as a marketer, as a search engine optimization engineer, and meet the guidelines of Google. Google is not God. Google is an index, remember that. So if you meet the guidelines of Google, which is in the Webmaster Guidelines, then you have a good chance of getting there. And for bad reasons, some people have violated those guidelines, and then they don't rank. So that is the normal SEO. You want to be present on the search for a given term. So let's say if you type Kamar Zaman in the search, you will find me on Google's first page. Now, there are many other Kamar Zamans, so you will see other people. Now, if you're looking for a Dallas SEO expert, Kamar Zaman, then obviously I'll be there if I've done a good job. If you're looking for Dallas SEO expert in internet marketing or lawyer marketing, you will find me there. So based on the keywords or phrases that I want people to find me, I'll do a job of ranking those by incorporating those words and phrases in my content so people can find me. And that is the SEO. Now let's segue that to user-generated content. So the content that I create on my website, for example, and I have a blog, and on the blog I write a blog about, how to make a cheesecake recipe, or chocolate cheesecake recipe. That's my content, and now I would want people to give me their feedback. Am I right, or am I, doing a good job of making a good cheesecake? So I'll open up in my blog post comments, and when people search for my phrases, as we talked about, they may come across a page, and that page would then have comments, and they would put comments in the blog and says Kamar's recipe is good, Kamar's recipe really works, etc., etc. So that is the content that users are creating on my blog, provided I've given them permission to do so. So that is, in simple terms, user-generated content.
What are some of the top websites that seem to be relying on user-generated content today?
The big two that come to my mind, off top of my head, are YouTube and Wikipedia. YouTube, people go in and upload a video, so that's user-generated content or media content, and then they allow comments, so that's another way to get feedback from the people or prospects. And then Wikipedia is entirely user-generated. People create it, and then there's a lot of curation going on, and then people can come in and add stuff to it. So it's more content curation.
How can people create user-generated content or businesses through social media platforms like Facebook or Twitter?
So Facebook allows you to create a business page or a fan page, so you can go and create a business page, fan page, which is indexable. So on Facebook, as you know, that there is two platforms, right? There's your profile, which you keep on commenting with your friends. Google cannot index that. So that is user-generated content, not synced to the search engine. Then there is the business page, which is visible to the search engine. So if you take, for example, let's say you have a business page for Tiffany Cherry, and you can go to facebook.com/Tiffany Cherry, and if you have a business page, they can see that, and you have a nice big graphic header, and then it talks about who you are, where you live, what kind of business you have, if it's a local business or if it's an online business, etc. And then you put content, and people like your content, they engage. And so that is one way of creating a user-generated content. The other way is, for example, I'll talk about a vertical. An example would be a law firm. So the law firm could start a forum, or they could create their own mini Facebook. So there are a lot of platforms now that are available which can be used to build your own Facebook, for example. So the law firm can create that and start interacting and putting questions. So somebody gets injured. So let's say if you are living in New York and the New York lawyer has this page on personal injury, and they have done a good job of people finding it, and then when they get injured, they get asked a question, and then the lawyer goes in and answers the question. Hence, there's user-generated content. So it's based on intent. It's user-generated content and intent-based. So if your intent is looking for a New York personal injury lawyer, they find you, and they ask you a question, and then you reply. So the intent is met.
Okay. Can you provide some tips for companies who they're running their website on an e-commerce platform?
So similar to a great tip, I always believe in following what has worked A great tip is Amazon. So if you go to Amazon and if you go to search for any product, I like books, so I would go and search for books, and then I would do a review on the book. At the end, I'll see, how many people have actually seen that book or read that book. So you will see reviews. So that's user-generated content. And if you have your own website, they should offer on an e-commerce website a way so people can comment after they have bought something, to get a feedback whether the book was good, whether the publisher was friendly enough to ship the book on time, etc. So that's one way to start allowing people to engage with the publisher by giving them permission.
What are some of the pros and cons of guest posting to create this type of content in terms of SEO?
So there was a post a couple of months ago that Mad Cuts scared the whole world about guest posts that get anybody that is doing guest posting is actually going to be seen bad from a search engine perspective, and there was a lot of correction on it. And I beg to differ from Matt. I don't know what was his intent, but I mean, if you look at CNN, you look at Huffington Post, they have multiple people. Forbes, for example, they have multiple people. They don't work for them. CNN, iReport is one of the platforms that people don't work for them. They create a user profile. They create their own content. They put pictures. So it's kind of like a guest posting on your blog. As long as you are using the platform to bring in content that resonates with the market, and you don't link out like crazy, it's good. But if you are writing content and you're constantly linking it back to your own digital asset, a Web 2.0 property of Facebook or anything, then you are actually getting, in the eyes of Google, it doesn't see that because it's used for personal use. So as long as you do things ethically and morally and provide content. So if you put a guest post, don't just market yourself. Write something that is meaningful, it's noteworthy, and then at the end, if you market yourself with a shameless plug, nothing wrong with that.
What about with press release distribution, online press release distribution, and is there a way to incorporate the user-generated content in there to where it's still...
Press releases, as you may know, index very well because they are published on big sites like PR Newswire, and Google News syndicates them, and so many other sites. So you could take your content, you can publish it first to drive the tier 1 traffic. So let's say when you publish your content on a press release site, it gets shown in CNN, it gets shown in CNBC, it gets shown in Yahoo Newswire, and then you take that content and then you send a newsletter to your clients and say, my content on Yahoo News, please interact. So now you are creating user-generated content for your news. You can put it on your website, in your blog, and let them comment on that. You can put it on your social circles, i.e. Google+, and Facebook, and that's a great way to interact and create more buzz for your content.
Okay, one more question. If a business has not incorporated user-generated content at all in their SEO practices, what are some ways that they can start right now to do that and promote themselves better?
Assuming they haven't done anything, the starting point is Facebook or Google+. Google+ or Google, everybody has a Gmail address and it's free. So go create a content or create an account on Google+, and then start sharing your thoughts and create content and bring in friends and create more content with that, and you will be a known celebrity. So it's very simple, easy, and cheap, and for most part free.
Okay, well, thank you so much for talking with us today. You've given us some very good insight into this subject. For those who want to learn more about SEO practices or Mr. Zaman here, visit kamarzaman.us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany, for having me.
Bye-bye.